Garrett, we have a Fed meeting this week.
Yes.
You mentioned that you like to trade the Fed drift when the market kind of slowly drifts up the day before the meeting. What are some key things that we need to be listening to in that press conference and how to trade it?
Historically, there's something that is known as Fed drift. Now, it has not been as prominent in the last couple of years as it was dating back to 1994 up until the mid-2010s. But it has been this historical pattern that a significant amount of the annual gains generated in the market oddly come 48 hours before the Federal Reserve makes its announcement. Why is that? I don't know the answer to that. It is an anomaly, much like insider buying, much like value investing, much like momentum. Other major thing, what I'm focusing on is the fact that the Federal Reserve has a $9 trillion balance sheet. Going back to 2018, the Fed's balance sheet was at $4.5 trillion. They tapered $600 billion over a 12 to 18-month period. And during 2018, this is the only data we have when the Fed tapers, the market finished the year off 6.5% in that long bull market that we saw. In 2020, December of 2020, the S&P 500 fell about 19.8%. So when the Fed is tapering, and you have a $9 trillion balance sheet this time, they are removing liquidity from the market at a time that there is a lack of interest in stock and institutional selling remains robust. So moving forward, the expectation is that when the Fed continues its tapering process, it will create large bouts of volatility in the market, much like it did in 2018. And remember, this year, every month this year, we have had the VIX go over 30. It looks like that trend will continue. And I obviously look for Mark's commentary on that as we head into the Fed meeting.
Make sure you guys are there for the pre-Fed prep. Tomorrow, let's bring in Tom Gentile. We're doing it in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, happy May to everyone. It's Microcurrency Monday, and you know what we're talking about here, but we're actually talking about much, much more. Probably the biggest headline we're going to cover today in microcurrency space is what happened at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting. Buffett's Bitcoin headlines. You really couldn't avoid them this weekend. Before I get to that, though, I want to talk about some quick wins we locked in last week with quantum data profits. Man, I'll tell you what, that was definitely one where the horse came out of the gate with all cylinders clicking. All right, we'll talk about that. And yes, I'm not going to avoid mentioning the Operation Surge Strike. We'll talk about that later as well, because there's some winners that came out just recently, as of this morning, we'll talk about too. Let's talk about the broader move this week ahead of the Fed decision. Of course, we all know where that's heading to, but what's expected to happen? You know, it's sell in May and go away. Everybody's bearish because of this, the uptick in interest rates. And then you've got the VIX hitting highs, and you've got even, it just everywhere you look, everybody wants to go short. Does that mean it's actually time to start buying? We'll check that out as well. I want to show you how to lock profits in a volatile market, okay? I want to answer your questions live here in the chat, so get them ready to go. Of course, I'm also going to take a quick break before we really get hot and heavy in microcurrencies at 1 o'clock. So much to talk about, so little time. Eric, very quickly, how was your weekend?
The weekend was good, Tom. It was busy as usual with the kids. How about you? You still moving, still doing house stuff, or are you rested up?
Dude, I took the weekend off. I don't remember what I did, but it was actually nothing. All right.
That's nice.
It rained a lot. The rainy season came in, and the dry ponds are filling up again here in Florida. Man, talk about fill ups. Let's talk about the fill up we took last week in Westlake Chemical. All right. So I want to really start off on a good note. A lot of people are looking at these markets. I'm looking at them. I mean, look at again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was another down week. The Qs are actually in bear market territory right now, but we are doing pretty well, even with a call option trade, which was our very first trade coming out of the gate last week with quantum data profits. This was Westlake Chemical. I gave you a chart. Eric, you got that chart up on the screen for us?
It sure is, Tom. It's up there.
All right. So what you see, folks, is this was last week. This is the hourly chart that started Monday morning and it went to Friday morning. You can see here we were up immediately 100% by the end of Monday. So from the time that the alert hit the inboxes until Monday morning, or Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, we were hitting 100% profits. Then we bobbed back and forth Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We started to go up, and Friday we had a big surge, no pun intended. We had a big surge in quantum data profits on Westlake Chemical out of the other half. So we really had a nice beginning to the very first pick that we had with quantum data profits. So late last week, we closed out that second half. So we took care of the first half early in the week, took care of the second half late last week. Actually, it was Friday morning. Eric, you have the email that went out to everybody.
Of course I do, Tom. It reads as this. This morning, our put option on Westlake Corporation, WLK, spiked a high as $5.20. That should have put you over the 200% final profit target we'd set on the remainder of this trade, depending on your exact fill price. But there's more too, right? We have more charts for people.
Well, we actually had a bull and a bear that went out last week. So if the bull went up, a lot of people that are not following us, they're probably thinking, well, if the bull went up, then the bear must have not worked, right? Aha! But it did. So take a look at this chart. This is a chart of hack. We went bearish on cybersecurity. When everybody else thinks that cybersecurity is the place to be, nope. Quantum data profits said something else. And so what this is also the hourly chart where we went in the morning, Monday morning. Now, look, this thing actually dipped against us by Monday afternoon. So it did go against us the day that the trade came out and hit inboxes. But you know what? After that, came right back. By Tuesday morning, we were right back where we were. And then Friday afternoon, there we go. We took off the first half. We took the first half off at a 50% gain. And you can see that. Eric, why don't you give them the details of exactly what we said to our members on Friday?
Of course. Our second open position on the ETFMG Prime Cybersecurity ETF has been on the rise, but admittedly slower than Tom would have liked. As such, we're going to make an adjustment to our first profit target and look to sell the first half of the position at a 50% gain. Here is what you do. The action to take is sell to close half of the hack, May 20th, 2022, $52 put for a limit price of $1.50 or more.
Exactly. And when you get into something for $1 and you get out for $1.50, you're taking a 50% profit. Okay, so that's a very easy calculation. And later on in the program, we get to the strategy session, Eric. I want to show everybody how we can set these up ahead of time because I really don't think I can do that enough. We've done this before, but I get these questions all the time. How do you set up your positions where if you're not sitting in front of the computer, how do you set these up where you can get out of them? A lot of people just simply don't know. They think they have to be in front of their computers all day long, and God forbid all night long too if you're trading cryptocurrency. You don't have to be. You can set these up and literally forget about them for the short duration. Now, I look at my trades on a regular basis, but I don't want to be looking at them 24/7. So I'll show you how to do that once again for those of you that are asking the question. Last thing I want to show when it comes to QDP, quantum data profits. So take a look at this chart. Eric, this chart has some question marks and some dollar signs in front of it.
I assume you're going to explain what those mean.
Yeah, the question marks is the mystery bonus trade we sent out later in the week, last week too. All right. It's a mystery for anyone other than our QDP members. Now, what's happening is this one's falling in price. Now, if you were long this particular stock, then we're taking the opposite side of you and you're losing money because we are short this stock by way of put options, or in this case, put spreads. And so I wanted to share that with everybody and look at that move down. So question marks for the non-members and dollar signs for the members, because this one's definitely moving in our direction too. All right. So, hey, you know what? It's Monday. It's a new week. That means new exclusive trade alerts for our members. By the way, those of you that are members of Quantum Data Products, check your inbox, because we sent out a couple of new trade ideas for you. Take a look and see what we got going on. And we are, guess what, still on the bearish side of the markets, because that's what QDP is saying for selected stocks. So to many of you who joined me already, I want to thank you. And I love that I'm finally able to share this information that we've kept under lock and key for so long. And I shared that with you guys last year. If you're not a member yet, all right, I'm going to do a live event. And what we're going to do is I want to talk about the system. I want to talk about the strategies. I want to talk about what we're doing and how this particular system complements everything else that I'm doing out there. Okay, so Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern is when we're going to take a deeper dive, and you can find out what it's all about. Even if you are a QDP member, come on and get some more education. But if you're not, and you're really kind of thinking about this, all right, because we are going to be closing this up very, very soon. But I want to show everybody and give them one more chance on what this is, what it does, why I'm so excited about it. Wednesday, 7 p.m. And this is something, like I said, that will be great for every trader's toolkit, especially in this kind of market, this machine-driven, volatile market that we're in. So, all right, let's talk about what's happening today in the markets. And you can see here, Eric, I was watching the clock ticking yesterday, because it was raining outside yesterday at our place. So we're inside. I'm looking, it's 5:45, it's 5:50, 5:55. My son and I were trying to figure out where the market was going to likely go. He thought it was going to drop really hard last night. It didn't. It actually opened higher. And then we just ticked from up to down to up to down. And before we jumped on the show, we were pretty much mixed. It was a mixed overall market. But I want to take a look and see what the overall market's doing right now. And more importantly, what happened to those big six after earnings announcements heading into this week? So we were out of that area, and what potential pain or what potential turnaround opportunities could we look for in the market? So let's start out with, I'm actually going to move over to my stock list, and I am going to update my stock list. Let's pop over, and let's start with SPY. So here's SPY. When I say a mixed market, look down here, folks. You can see we dropped a little bit. We went up a little bit. We were higher on the day. We were low on the day. We're just a tad off the lows here, really at the bottom of the hour. Okay, so very close to. And here's the other thing I'm looking at. This is the beginning of the year. This is current. You can see what we've done. Although the market has moved up and down, and we are now down tagging these lows, we actually hit some new lows. So our new low indicator moved from the end of February, Eric, to this morning. Right now, we're sitting on new lows for the year. S&P, the volatility, we had hit some highs. And this was back at the beginning of March when we started hearing a lot about the war that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. That subsided, that volatility subsided, but it's back. And what's happening now is you've got the additional things. You've got a what I like to call a perfect storm going on in the market right now. You've got the war, all right? You got the war in Eastern Europe. You've got interest rates. You got a Fed decision that's happening right now, and everybody's just waiting with bated breath. That's what's going to happen later in the week. And of course, you've got earnings, which were mixed, all right? Mixed as in most of it was mixing to the downside. And it wasn't so much the earnings that we're seeing coming out, it's future outlook, which is scaring investors right now. So no wonder why the VIX is high, why the VIX is up here trading at high 20s and low 30s, depending on which instrument you're looking at. That's SPY. Down at the bottom, I would say that we're taking this out. There's a very good chance that 400, I said this last week, could be on the horizon for SPY. Look at TLT. I mean, this is something you don't see all the time. Typically, these two instruments will move opposite of each other, right? Now, last week, we saw the first downtick in mortgage rates that we had seen in months. But looking at this chart, I think we're going to see mortgage rates back on the swing to go higher as the iShares Barclays 20-year Treasury ETF is dropping. Now, the high that we saw was back in December. But even if you look at the beginning of the year, we were still trading just below 150. Now we're trading down in the teens, 117. This is a huge drop for the Treasury markets. All right. Again, lows on both stocks and bonds. They're both trending down. That tells us that they both could continue to trend lower. How about UUP? Cash market is really starting to gap a lot right here. So you're seeing gaps between days. And this is just showing you what ends up happening is this, folks. So UUP is the double dollar index ETF. It trades between 9:30 and 4. What happens after 4 o'clock? All of those foreign currencies that make up the other side of UUP, well, they're trading around the clock. So when UUP opens again the next morning, it's got to reset itself to what the foreign currencies that it trades against in the basket are trading at the time of their close. And so that's why you're seeing these gaps. We never used to see a lot of this gap trading. It happened back in COVID, when COVID first started happening. But you could see there wasn't a lot of gap trading at the end of the year, even at the beginning of this year. We started seeing a lot of gaps really since the end of April. Gap, 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 gap. I mean, there's 7, 8, 9 out of 10 gap days just in the last 2 weeks. So this is telling us that volatility is starting to climb in the currency markets, right? You can see that in as the volatility in the ETF is up about 20% just in the last 2 weeks. So that's UUP. Cash is up because everything else is down. Look at the oil market. Now, the oil market is doing pretty much what we thought it was going to be doing. I talked about this big move up and that we were looking for at least a little bit of a pullback for a mean reversion. And USO, 85.43 on that high. This was back in really the beginning of March. And then within about 5 or 6 days, we were back down from 85 to 67, 67. Then we started putting in some churning, all right, channeling, buying and selling the channel. And that's what's really been happening. We've been staying above, close to 72, 71.86. And then the highs have been around 80. So there's been a pretty wide range, about a 10 to 12% trading range in USO over really the last month and a half. We're down today. Again, we were in the high 70s. We're around 75.59 as of right now, but still staying within that range. I still suspect we're going to see a breakout, and we're going to see a breakout and a close above 80, which should take us up in the mid 80s, maybe possibly even higher before we get well into the summer months, right? So that is USO. GLD. Well, we talked about GLD trying to find some support at 175.40, but look what happened today. We dropped below, and now all of a sudden that big move up that we saw that actually started in December and ran its course into the beginning of March, well, it's broken up. We fell down very quickly to the 50% retracement, to the 61% retracement, and now below that. So now the question is, how low will gold go before it changes course? So what I need to do is I need to reset this chart. This chart goes from lows to highs, but now since we've broken below the 61.8% retracement, we're going to be looking at a new chart going from highs to lows and where we may see resistance areas on GLD. Now, I'm a long-term holder of GLD. I'm a long-term holder of gold. But as a trader, this kind of unnerves me a little bit as we seek to find the next buying opportunity in GLD. Okay, let's talk about these big six right now as we go through, and then we're going to get into cryptocurrency. The big six, Microsoft. What's happened since Microsoft's earnings announcement? Well, Microsoft's earnings announcement was a good 5 days ago, and you can see here we had a 2-day run up, but we're back down again. Microsoft's up a little bit today. but nowhere near what the earnings report said about Microsoft. Though it might look good fundamentally, people just are having trouble hanging on to tech stocks right now. As you see, the highs that happen not only in December, but at the beginning of the year, up here in the mid 300s, we're now trading well off those 279.82, and it looks like it wants to continue to trend to the downside as well. All right, that was the good news, okay? It kind of gets worse from there when you look at the rest of tech. Google, best day it's seen in 2022 was the Q4 earnings that happened back in February, as it had a huge move up above 3,000. It has not seen 3,000 since. In fact, now we're trading down in the low twos, 2,300 to be exact. New lows. Bounced a little bit up this morning, but did have the lowest open of the year. That's Google. Let's take a look at Meta Platforms. Meta Platforms had a fantastic earnings announcement. Surprise! They're not losing as much money as everybody thinks they are, but they're still trying to find their space in the new metaverse. And so when you take a look at FB, I do like FB in the fact that last week we hit those lows. We really more than double bottom, came down here below 175, had that big move up. And if you take a look, and I'm going to zoom in here, Eric, this area right here is a very good area where we could see this, getting back below the low of 2 days ago or getting above Friday's high. That could be very crucial to where we go for Meta. But Meta could be that one outlier in the area of FANG that could potentially move higher even if the market goes lower. That's Facebook. Take a look at Apple. Here's another one. Apple had great earnings, and it's, again, what's the outlook looking like? All right, what is supply chain doing to them? What is costs doing to Apple? They're one of the most. They attract some of the best talent in the world to come and work for them, and now they're going to have to pay that talent more money, as all technology is, because the dollar's worth less, because we're seeing a lot of people looking to change jobs. Because they think they can get more somewhere else, better benefits, better lifestyle, etc. Apple has a great lifestyle, great campus, but at the end of the day, if you're going to live over on that side of the country, you're going to need more money because costs are going up. That's going to affect Apple's bottom line. That's part of why you see Apple having great earnings, but again, their outlook is getting a little soft, and that's softening up the price. Apple is down today, moving higher. Where does it go? Well, you got 150 down here, and that looks like a really good area of support. And I see Apple potentially testing that 150 level. Amazon just is, is it the, there's several reasons why Amazon's down. Okay. Take a look. Costs. What is the biggest costs to a company? What are the two biggest costs to a company? All right. Number one are the costs to get the product, in this case, this service company, this consumer company, from A to B. Those costs are going up, right? Fuel prices, gas prices, the price of the cost of putting it in a box are getting higher. What's number two, which might be number one? Well, a lot of you guessed it, payroll. Payroll expenses are going up, and then you got to tack on just all of the rhetoric around the Billionaire Boys Club. The Billionaire Boys Club is, you take a look at two of them right off the top. It's Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Okay, they dominated the headlines in the last decade, and they're dominating this year too, only quite a bit differently, as there's a lot of backlash coming out amongst these guys. People seem to forget that Jeff Bezos started Amazon from his garage. People seem to forget that Elon Musk, the very first thing he did was get out there into the video game industry, all right, at a ridiculous age. And so it's not about what they did to get where they are. It's now about the excess that they have. And this is getting political. And I can tell you right now, that's a good reason why Amazon is down where it is. Where does Amazon go from here? It's in a free fall. 3,500 was the last time we saw a high on this chart. And that was back in December. Its highs for the year were around 3,400, but now we're trading down at 2,400. Where do we go from here? All right, I'll tell you where I see us going from here. Where I see us going from here is 2,000. 2,000 is a round number. And the other thing I see is implied volatility on that, back on the rise again. It's higher. It's almost as high now as it was last week when earnings came out. That's not a good thing when you're looking at a chart and you're trying to determine where a buy opportunity is. And then finally, there's Intel, which actually posted much better earnings, better revenue. But again, they got their own issues, and that is a potentially shrinking future in terms of product revenue and earnings, at least for the near term. And that's why you saw Intel drop like it did, back down, hitting a double bottom down here around the 43.50 area. It's at $44 right now. But that's what we see going forward when you take a look at stocks, bonds, currencies, and commodities. Let's take a look very quickly at cryptocurrency, and then we'll take a look at some news involving crypto. So I got Bitcoin on the chart right now, and let me just update to the latest chart. There it is, 38,675. I mean, we've just kind of dribbled down. If you take a look where we were talking about this, I mean, 40,000 was hit, and we've been kind of for the month moving along to 40,000. We actually dropped below 40,000 4 days ago. Okay, so late last week we dropped below 40, and this is really kind of in sympathy with what's going on with the stock market, in sympathy with what's going on with technology. And then you look at companies like MicroStrategy, a lot of the ARK investment companies, right? And those, I believe, are helping to drag down the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the likes. Not all coins are going down, but the big ones for sure have been dropping. And so I look at these big coins and I try to ask myself, are they tied to the stock market or are they not? And you know what the answer is, Eric? It depends on the day. Depends on the day. I got some really good news to share with everybody after we talk about the bad news, and we'll catch that in just a minute or two. But when I say bad news, I'm talking about the headlines. You know, what caused Bitcoin to drop last week was partly due to the stock market, but it was also partly due to a pair of old guys, old dudes, we'll call them. And before we get to the old dudes comments, take a look here. You know, what we're seeing is you're not seeing the big picture when you look at this move to the upside. For me to look at the big picture, I've got to go beyond 100 days. I took a 100-day chart, Eric, because I wanted to share with everybody that Bitcoin did not start out the year up here and is all the way down here at the bottom, like the stock market, like the bond market, like most of FANG. It is still on the upswing. But if you take this out 150 days, which I'm going to do right now, now you'll see that big drop to the downside, but you also see that $35,000 low, right? $35,000 low is really where I want to start from because that's a significant low that we've seen, okay? So I need to get out there to really about 110 days, I believe. 110 days should turn that. Yes, it did. And you can see here, we're well off the lows that we're seeing, this 35,000 low. Right. So we're still a good, I mean, if you're looking at absolutes, we're a good 10% off that low. We're looking at absolute price, and more so when you're looking at top to bottom here. Top to bottom, we're probably 20% off that low number. So much, much better faring when you look at this versus the overall stock market. And a lot of the stocks have been dropping. So that's one thing to look at. And then, of course, let's take a look at Ethereum, symbol ETH. And I want to share with you that it looks even stronger, all right? Hovering still around that 61.8% retracement area. 28.18 is the price, but we're talking about coming off that $2,400 level to 35, and then the pullback we've seen since then. Now, what's caused these new lows that we have recovered from on Sunday and then a little bit into today? So, you know, first of all, let's talk about one of the better positions in our portfolio, which is, guess what? Good old KNC. That's still leading the microcurrency trader portfolio. And Eric, if you could just talk a little bit about KNC.
Of course I can.
Help you out a bit.
Sure. Well, I mean, KNC, pretty simple. We have long-term hold tops, altcoin portfolio. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied alongside you today, Tom. KNC is the symbol, and it's up for a percentage gain of 82.2%. That looks pretty good to me, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And it just kind of goes to show that not every coin is on the way to the downside. Mm-hmm. And so, what caused the downtrend? What's caused that pullback to continue since April? All right, so we're looking at April. We're seeing that move into May. Now, I'm going to share a little bit of insight with everybody right now. I'm not going to wait till the end of the program. But guess what May is? May is sell in May and go away for the stock market. But do you know what May has been for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market for majority of the last 10 years?
What has it been? I don't know.
Buy in May and get out of the way. Did you hear that, Eric?
Buy in May and get out of the way. I heard it.
Yeah, and I mean, no guarantees, but hey, seasonally, May's actually been a pretty good month for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I wanted to share that with everybody right off the bat. But apparently there are two old guys that have something else to say about Bitcoin. That was the biggest headlines that came out of Bitcoin at the end of the week and even over the weekend from the BH crew, and that's the Berkshire Hathaway crew. Warren Buffett, most famous investor in the world, arguably, and his right-hand man, Charlie Munger. Now, these guys, I gotta say, these are not two guys you want to just take what they say with a grain of salt. Because I remember back in the year 2000 when all the internet stocks were going to the moon and these guys were not invested in them. And there was a lot of bad press towards Berkshire Hathaway for not investing in technology. And they said, you know what? It's not making money right now. We don't invest in things that don't make money. And sure enough, they ended up being right. The thing is that, like I've said before, when you look at the adoption phases in cryptocurrency, I don't think we've seen that level yet where all of a sudden it just gets so euphoric that people are tripping over each other to get in. There's still too little of players in the field. But anyway, despite what I believe, despite what Nick Black believes, all right, and what a lot of folks out there that are invested in the cryptocurrency world believe, oh boy, Buffett, he had a couple of things to say. And Eric, you want to read this or shall I?
I'll read through this one, Tom, here. So this is from our boy, Mr. Buffett. He says, if you told me that you own all the Bitcoin in the world and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it, because what would I do with it? I'd have to sell it back to you one way or the other. It isn't going to do anything. I have to say that, I mean, I would take it and I would know what to do with it. How about you, Tom?
I would totally take it at 25. I own some at levels that low. Even below that. That was, the mining it. But so I mean, I'm in a little bit different situation than a lot of folks, though. See, I mean, I didn't buy. I bought a nice little chunk of Bitcoin a couple months ago, live in front of everybody. So to show I put skin in the game, some good skin at it. But I also own a lot of it at much, much lower levels. So I don't have the emotional need to dump Bitcoin. All right. I'm in it for the long term. I've told everybody that. And so, when I look at that comment, I have to say, well, I mean, what would you do if you owned something eventually? If you're, I don't plan on taking Bitcoin to the grave with me. I will either gift it over to the family, or maybe I will sell some of it off one day. But that one day isn't today. All right. But yeah, I mean, that's called the markets, when you have to sell it back one way or another. Don't you do that with everything that you own eventually?
That's
right?
True.
And then you've got some other quotes on this as well. So continue, please.
So Warren Buffett talks a little bit about his ideas on assets and their values. So he says, assets, to have value, have to deliver something to somebody. And there's only one currency that's accepted. You can come up with all kinds of things. We can put up Berkshire coins, but in the end, fiat currency is money.
And you know what? I would have agreed with him on this years and years ago, because, years and years ago when I mined Bitcoin, I didn't see where it was going. I didn't see where it was going. I was simply doing a cryptocurrency experiment. Right? It turned out to be a very profitable experiment. But the thing is that something changed early on in this. People started accepting Bitcoin as a form of currency. El Salvador is using it as a fiat currency. Other countries are looking to add it on as a potential currency as well. And so I have to disagree with that, where I would have agreed with it years ago. Now, not so much. How about Munger? What's Charlie mongering about?
Oh, he has something to monger about for sure. He says, in my life, I try to avoid things that are stupid and evil and make me look bad in comparison to somebody else. And Bitcoin does all three. It's stupid because it's still likely to go to zero. It's evil because it undermines the Federal Reserve System. And third, it makes us look foolish compared to the communist leader in China. He was smart enough to ban Bitcoin over in China.
And you know what's stupid to me?
What's that?
Stupid would be the Internal Revenue Service not looking at this and saying, hey, here's how we can fill some of the hole that's occurred. We could fill the hole right here. Why in the world would they not want to do that? And I believe that's the reason why the government's sitting here trying to decide, well, if we really outright ban this, we would be absolutely stubbing our big toe, because this is a $1 trillion, multi-trillion dollar market that we can pull quite a bit of money out of ourselves, right? Look at who owns the majority of this market. A good bit of it's right here in the good old US of A, where they can come in and tax it. And so, I want to make sure everybody realizes that. That's my thought. My thought is, why in the world would you ever want to kill something that you can tax? So that's what I believe. I also think this is not quite the vein of what we would call emerging market trends. This is just basically the old guard weighing in. Warren and Charlie, let me tell you something else. They didn't, and I'm going to add somebody else to this list too. Carl Icahn. Carl Icahn missed out on some of the biggest moves in tech, including Apple, for years, if not decades. And these two guys as well. They were value investors. They didn't see Apple as a value. They didn't see anything in new technology as a value, but they have recently. And so, I've been told that sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but sometimes you can. So whether you're a diehard Bitcoin fanatic or someone that trades the occasional altcoin, I think we'd agree not to err on the same side as the CCP. So, I think the views that they have are a little bit extreme and a little bit on the anti-crypto side. And I wonder if, and I know Warren Buffett's done this before, he'll take a position like, for instance, I own silver and I haven't sold it. But you know what? What he doesn't say is I sold futures contracts against the silver that I do own. That was years and years ago. So taking the anti-crypto side might be shorting crypto stocks to try to make a little money on the comments about cryptocurrencies. So that kind of brings us into a strategy session. And that is, how do I protect profits? How do I set myself up ahead of time to take profits so that if I see a stab that jumps up really quickly and then back down, if I wanted to catch that move to the upside, how can I catch that? There's a lot of ways we can protect our profits, but one way we can grab profits without actually being in front of the screen is something I want to talk about here for the next few minutes. And it comes back to putting your trades, your profits in ahead of time. All right, putting your exits in ahead of time. How can you exit something days from now when you don't even know where it's going to be? Well, I don't know where things are going to be days from now. I simply don't. All right. Nobody does. But if you have an idea on where you want to sell something days from now, you could put that order in ahead of time. It's called a limit order. It's called a GTC order. Right. Go back for a second to that profit alert for 200% on the second half of our WLK trade on quantum data profits. Right. A lot of people set themselves up ahead of time and took those profits. And those of you who didn't, well, guess what? You learned a very valuable lesson in trading, and that is, especially in the options markets, all right? Set your profit targets ahead of time. Set your profit targets.
Let's take a look at that one, Tom. Should we take a look at the exit alert?
Let's do it.
Here we go. And so it reads as this: if you had your sell order on the remaining contract set up, you're likely already out of this trade with your profits. This trade is actually a perfect example of why you should set up your exit orders, just like Tom's talking about right now, after getting a fill on your entry, because shortly after the high of $5.20 this morning, the trade made a big reversal back down to $3.60 level.
Yeah, and part of that big reversal happened to do with all those sell orders up there to get out at profits. That's a part of it. If you had your order in at that level at $5 or better, which was our target, then congratulations. By the way, I think WLK's got earnings coming out soon, so we got to get out of that trade by the win, lose, or we were going to get out of that trade by the end of the day anyway. Now, most of our trades in quantum data profits are longer term trades. And if you're not setting your orders up in advance, or if you don't know how, then pay attention. I want to show you how to do this, not only in using a stock trade, but I want to show you how to do this with cryptocurrency too. So let me show you how we do this. We talk about this in our members only sessions on a regular basis. So I'm going to show you what we talked about last week with our group. We did this a couple of different times, but let's use Hack. Okay, so Hack is that security, that cybersecurity ETF that we shorted. All right, by shorting, I meant we looked at buying put options. All right, they were $1 puts. So they were the May 20th, 52 puts. We sold those for we bought those for $1. And I want to show you. Let's go ahead and look at Hack and see what's going on with HACK. This is going to be a daily chart of Hack. But you can see Hack is trying to hack down there at the bottom. And so it's a little bit up today, which is typical. You get a move that's down like that. Let me bring us down to the last 30 days so you can kind of see what's going on here. All right. So here's Hack. Hack's gone up in volatility. It's gone down in price. That is exactly what we're looking for, folks. All right. When we buy put options, I want to sell them when the stock goes down, but I also am looking to sell them when volatility goes up. Now we're looking for an overall 100% move in Hack. So we already got out of the first half. So bought it at $1, sold half at $1.50. So I want to sell the second half if it hits a double. So what's 2 times 1? 2. So I want to sell this at 2. So this is how we set this up. You set it up like this. Here is my symbol, HACK. Here is my type. That's the put option. Now, assuming I'm long this put and I still have half my position, the minimum quantity I would have in order to sell half at 50% and sell the other half at 100 is 2 contracts. All right. Sell one at 50% profit, sell the second at 100%. If I'm in at 1, then I'm out at 150 for half and I'm out at 2 for the other half. Here's my out at 2. Sell to close. That means we're selling what we currently have open in our position. All right, our half of that trade, whatever that quantity may be. Same expiration, same strike, puts, and then, of course, $2. Now, they're currently trading 150 by 165. They were as high as 185 earlier this morning. So this order is and should be in place so that if it ticks up to 2, boom, we're out. We can carry about our day as normal. But the way to do that is put it in as a limit order at 2, but also good till canceled. Because good till canceled, now I have a couple of different ones. I can do a day order. I can do something called fill or kill. I can do immediate or cancel. Now, each of these have different meanings. Day order means if it's not filled by the end of the day, order's canceled. Fill or kill means either fill the order now or kill the order. And immediate or cancel is very similar. Either fill the order immediately or cancel the order. Good till canceled. Good till canceled is an order that is out there as an open order until you cancel the order. Now, a lot of brokers will only allow a good till cancel order to be on for 30 days. So double check with your broker to see what their rules are for good till canceled. Okay. Once I set that up, I just simply preview the trade, push the button, and will this get filled now? No. It won't, because it's nowhere near $2. But if something happens, you know, lately what's been happening in the markets is the volatility is coming in the first 15 minutes or so. So, you know, if we have a big down opening in hack, that's going to pop the prices a bit. And who knows, we might pop at or above 2, taking us out of the position. So that's how you put a trade like this on, or more importantly, how you take the trade off when you're not sitting in front of it. Right now, one more thing I want to show, Eric.
Sure thing.
We can do this with cryptocurrency too. So with Coinbase, here's an example, and I've got KNC up on my screen, and here's KNC trading around the 413 and change area. Now, what I can do is I can go in and I can put a limit price in. Let's say I wanted to get out of potentially some or all of my KNC position at $5. I can put $5 USD in, and then I can put in here the amount of KNC I want to get out of. It's going to show me the total price I'm going to get out of. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and click the confirm button, and it's immediately going to move that into an open position. All right. The only way that gets filled is when you see the order book trading at or above 5. So that's using the Coinbase account there, right? www.coinbase.com. All right. So that moves us into some questions. So Eric, what do you got for me?
I love this time of the day when we get to the community questions. We do have some that we prepared, and guys, I'll let you know if you have any questions in the chat right now. I'm looking for them. The first one is crypto for retirement from a new member. Tom, do you suggest crypto buyers have a crypto IRA?
Well, you know what? I don't really make suggestions on whether somebody should or shouldn't have an IRA in cryptocurrency. Let me just mention this. Cryptocurrency, as if I hadn't said it before, is one of the biggest, most volatile assets to be on. So if you're going to put an IRA on this, realize that it could have some pretty big swings. If you are in the buy and hold camp with Bitcoin and or Ethereum, those are the two I think that make the most sense for long-term for an IRA, because what you'd be doing is you would be purchasing on a regular basis X amount of dollars and putting that toward your IRA. Now, I want to mention something else to any of you folks that are listening to me both on Monday Morning Live or YouTube. I have a question for those of you, regardless of where you're catching this at. Here's my question to you. Are you ready? How many of you that are watching this program right now are entrepreneurs? You run your own business. Maybe you have some employees, right? How many of you out there fall into that category? Because if you are employees and you don't have a day off, what are you doing here? Are you doing this? You know, do you have your phone? Are you watching us by phone? Do you have the phone in the drawer? And if the boss comes in, you shut the door real quick. Yes, boss. Anyway, who's out there that is running a business? All right. Because we do have several of you out there running a business. Now, I'm going to share this with you real quick. Did you know, those of you out there saying me, yes, smiley faces, did you know that you can put together a 401k plan for crypto in Coinbase? It's available, all right? It was made available very recently, so you can create your own 401k plan with your administrator. And the reason I bring this up is because if you want to keep talent, in this industry, you got to do more than pay them, all right? You got to constantly appraise them, tell them what they're doing right, tell them what they could be doing better, all right? But you know what else you got to do? You got to give them another reason to be a long-term employee with your company. And a lot of people didn't know that. And imagine if you've got a company and you offer a 401k plan with cryptocurrency. How exciting is the millennials in your company or the Gen Z in your company going to be when they find out that you have a 401k plan that you can offer them with cryptocurrency? I think that's pretty cool. All right. So I thought I would share that to you, both those of you of Monday Morning Live and both of you that are part of the YouTube community. All right. So pretty cool stuff.
Thanks,
what else
Tom.
you got for me, Eric?
I just picked one out of the chat right now. It's from Dr. Rob. What do you think of the Exodus format?
I'm pretty new with that, so I'm going to reserve judgment right now because I don't like to talk, good or bad about anything that either I don't know about or that I know little about. Eric, do you know anything about Exodus?
No, I don't know anything about Exodus at all. Unfortunately, I can't add anything to the conversation here.
Yeah,
but I can bring in another question.
Absolutely.
All right, we have this one right here from Sentinent. Tom, what's your view on Uniswap?
All right, that's going to be a quick one too.
Okay.
All right, so I have a small group of coins in my buy and hold portfolio. Uniswap is not one of them. That being said, it's one that we have traded in the microcurrency portfolio, both past and present. I like it as a trade. It's just not a buy and hold at this time, if that helps it for any reason.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. That was quick. We have another one from Kathy. That's good to know not to use Darknet for selling. This is, I think, from our last show. So how do you determine when to sell?
Yeah, so Darknet is, Darknet's really a trader's type of strategy. It's a contrarian strategy that we use. And, if I were to take a look at Darknet on let's see if I've got anything on my charts here real quick. So I'm going to go back to our stock list. All right. And I've got a 30-day stock list up. Let's go ahead and change this. And so instead of stock chart type, I'm going to look at Darknet Signals. And you can see here, we have a buy signal in the SPY, which is still long. All right. Take a look at TLT, nothing. How about UUP? Nothing. How about USO? Nothing. We had a buy signal a couple of days ago in GLD, which is one of the reasons I got long more in GLD last week. And then, of course, here's Microsoft, nothing. There was a buy in Google before its earnings. Facebook as well, too, before its earnings. Nothing in Apple. Had a sell. Let's stop right there. A sell in Amazon.com. Now, you see this S up here? I would love to have been able to come in here and say, oh, that S means it's time to short. But that's not the way Darknet works. Darknet's not a shorting type of strategy. We've checked years and years and years on this. By the way, what we look at, folks, is what we call something called a triple stack. It's long, intermediate, and short-term channels. And when these collide together, it gives us buying opportunities. And we can have multiple buying opportunities on the same security. But what we don't have is we don't have shorting opportunities on this. All right. So when Kathy asks, how do you determine what to sell? If we're talking about selling what we own already, there's your sell signal for Amazon using Darknet. That means sell out and close out a long position. But if you're talking about when to short, this is not a short, just says that the Darknet money is on the sidelines now for Amazon and anything else it may have sold. And that if you look forward to shorting opportunities, well, I'm working on that, okay? Because my team and I had that same conversation a few weeks ago, and we said, what can we do to come up with shorting opportunities in Darknet? What can we do to come up with shorting opportunities in cryptocurrency? So when it comes to the stock market, I have the answer for you. It's 3 little letters called QDP, Quantum Data Profits, because that is where we're coming up with our selling opportunities. Now, in cryptocurrency, you cannot short cryptocurrency. You can, however, short stocks on cryptocurrency and ETFs on cryptocurrency, and even sell futures contracts on a couple of cryptocurrency derivatives, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. I am working on some AI, artificial intelligence, that is going to help us in the cryptocurrency markets on these short trades that I would love to be able to pick up a few dollars from. So I'm working on those. Details are on the way. All right. Let me see if I got anything happening over in the YouTube community. I see one person in here who's talking a lot. If you really want to see what's going on, folks, we've moved a lot of our folks from YouTube all the way over to the Monday Morning Live platform. And so here we go. But take a look at what Bruce has got some, shouldn't they be going to the moon right now? And that's USO and GLD. And the thing is that you got to remember that what does USO and what does GLD trade? What's their current vehicle of trading? What do you need in order to buy USO, Bruce? What do you need in order to buy GLD? You need US dollars. And when US dollars stiffen up like they're doing right now, it's going to put pressure on these type of commodities, which I will say there are some things that I like even in a US dollar rise. And so really, that's what I want to talk about here for the remainder of the program. So as we get to the end of the show, folks, let me talk a little bit about a couple of ideas. Okay? What do I like? All right. I think, first of all, let's talk about precious metals for a moment. I think precious metals are going to go whatever way they want to, but a falling dollar does help precious metals. So a rising dollar is going to put some weight on things like gold and silver. No pun intended, but it's going to put some weight on those prices. But now let's talk about oil for a second, USO. So USO has been holding up pretty well with all that has happened with the US dollar. As you can see, it's bounced very well off this 30-day move. You take a look and go back 100 days, and you can see what it's done in the last 100 days. It's actually moved quite well when you look at stocks like Google, and you look at stocks like Amazon, you look at the market itself, the SPY, the QQQ, which is now in bearish territory. This is holding up pretty well, folks. So I like oil and I like USO into summer. You know what else I like? I like gas in the summer. We haven't even looked at UNG, which is very volatile right now. But United Natural Gas, look at this thing. It's also on the rise. Look where it was back at the beginning of the year, 12. Hit 27 2 weeks ago, trading at 25.60 right now. And again, there's some news events that are helping to push this up, but it's not the US dollar is not getting in the way of natural gas right now. What else? How about, if you take a look at, for instance, the CRB, all right, the Commodity Research Bureau Index is up, but it's nowhere near the highs that were around 2007, 2008. So I like this space into the year too. And if you take a look at something like the Agriculture Index, okay, DBA. So let's take a look at DBA for a moment, Deutsche Bank Agriculture Index. Take a look at that. Has had a nice move and is powered up from the high teens to the low 20s. I think this one has some more of a move to go to as well. So obviously for our best trades, you got to be a premium member. Our microcurrency members, we're going to be give me a break here. We're going to start right back up again at 1 o'clock, and we're going to dive into anything that's on the watch list, anything that has changed, etc. And if you haven't joined me yet in our brand new Quantum Data Profits program, check the link above me, check the link beside me, and you'll see we have links there. We're also doing a special event on Wednesday, 7 p.m. that you can be part of as well, folks. All right. So all of this surrounds some new tech based on, guess what? Based on a very, very old trading strategy that I learned from my trading mentor. So we're going to get into all of that. I want to talk about that and how we took something that my old mentor taught me years and years ago in the 1990s, and how we took some AI and really fine-tuned this to something that I really love. So again, guys, we're going to get started again at 1:30. One more thing before I jump out of here. Surge Strike traders, we just took 3 more profits today. Check your email, and we'll talk about that tomorrow at 11:30 when I'm back here again for more live trading. All right. So see you guys at 1 o'clock. For those of you who won't be there, see you tomorrow morning, same time, same channel. I'm out. Bye, everyone.